Caleb from Brownells here, and in today's quick tip, I wanted to show you my favorite way to time muzzle devices. Not just on AR-15s, but actually a lot of rifles. So the product we're going to be using here is the Accu-Washer. This is the Gen 2 of it by Precision Armament. So it comes in this little pouch here, and then I already dumped it out on the table, but you get a bunch of different sized washers in here. And fortunately, because they're all very different sizes, they're all labeled and indexed. They all have little hash marks on them at some point. So there's a thick line and a thin line, and then the combination of two tells you what thickness it's going to be. And I know you're asking right now, you're like, Caleb, how do I know what thickness it is? Do I have to get out some calipers? Do I got to measure it? Whatever. No, you don't. So I actually got it pulled up here already, but there's a QR code on the back of the packaging, and all you need to do is scan the code, and it'll bring up the instructions as well as a chart. So I don't know how well you can see this chart here, but this one in particular is for a 28 thread pitch. It tells you what size is goes with what degree you need to turn. So when I say what degree you need to turn, what I'm talking about is, oh, also there's a little, let me get it pulled up here, because they have a bunch of different thread pitches, so they'll work with pretty much everything. There's a little timing chart that you just kind of look down the muzzle, and then you time it up with this little chart here, and that should help you out as well. Alright, so let me just show you how to use them. The first thing you're going to need to do is find the thickest shim in this pack. So the thickest one is gonna, for a 28 thread pitch, for the half 28 setup, is gonna be this one right here. So you have 3 thin lines and 3 thick lines. All right, that's gonna be the thickest one. Now, I want you to come over here to the muzzle device and also notice one end of this has a bevel on the inside. See, that's the beveled side right there. And obviously this right here is the flat side. There's no bevel. And what you're going to do is take the beveled side, that goes against your barrel shoulder, and I'll actually turn this so you can get a better view here. Alright, so you take your beveled side, go against the shoulder, the barrel shoulder. The reason you're doing that is because a lot of manufacturers don't have a very big relief cut between the thread and the shoulder. So you want to make sure it's hitting just flush against that shoulder, because these shims are precision machined to be perfectly flat. And although we're just using it with a flash hider right now, they are perfect to use with suppressors, because you only need one. You just put one on there and you're done. You're good to go. But to determine what size you need, you take the thickest one, bevel side against the shoulder. Then you screw on your muzzle device. And then from here, you will need to determine, now put it on nice and tight. You don't need to torque it, just hand tight when I say tight. Now, obviously it is not time, so we need to determine how many degrees we need to go. And if you can't do like math in your brain and like look and see what angle it needs to be, you can use that little chart I just showed you on my phone, and that'll tell you how far you need to go. So once you get that, you know, roughly how many degrees you need to go, then you take the chart, reference the shim you need, and I probably need to go like 110, 120 degrees. Let me check on my phone here and see. That's not the right one. Okay, here we go. So I would say probably 120 degrees. So that's 2 thick lines and 3 thin ones. So let me just find that shim. And it was the first one I picked up. I couldn't have even planned that. Okay, now you unscrew. It's also too important to remember that these aren't torqued down yet whenever we're determining how far we need to go. So you need to add another anywhere between 10 to 30 degrees for your torque. And if you need to get a little bit more torque or a little bit more rotation out of something without over torquing it, you can put some grease in between the muzzle device and the shim, and it'll still stay flat, but that'll give you less friction, so you get a little bit more rotation with the same torque. Okay, and that is pretty dang close. Also, what I like to do is put my shim with the markings face up. The reason is because obviously there's a lot of shims in here, so you can use these on multiple firearms. And whenever you do that, you don't want to be looking for a particular shim and it already be installed on a gun. I can just reference my chart, say I need a size, look over on my gun rack, and I can see what shims I've already used. And if I've already used the one I need, then I buy another pack. Because I build so many guns, I can never have too many of these. Okay, so now let's talk about torquing it down. I'm going to go on dry and see if I can get a good torque or good index with that torque. And torque wrench I'm using here, so this is the Wheeler, the words are hard today, Wheeler XL Fat Wrench. And that's not written anywhere on here, but the name is easy to remember because I just think about your mom. Alright, so all we got to do is put it on there. And so muzzle device torque, honestly, I'm just going to go to 25 foot-pounds. And I don't even have to hit that. I just know I don't really want to go over that. Let me get this all positioned here. Alright, and then torque wrench 90 degrees to the torque driver. And rotate. Alright, and that's indexed, and I got plenty of torque on there. I didn't even hit 25 foot-pounds, but it's on there nice and tight. I'm not even worried about it. And honestly, this is probably the best setup and the quickest way to do suppressor timing, suppressor brake timing. So I would do exactly this method with another suppressor brake like my dead air chemo or Xeno brakes. I would just throw one of these on here and do the same thing. So with that being said, they do make different diameters, so you can get like 5/8, 9/16, whatever. And then they also make adapter sizes, so you can get, if like let's say for example, all I have were the 5/8 size of these shims, but I wanted to put it on a half 28 barrel. I can just get the half 28 adapter and use these shims depending on the barrel diameter, if that makes sense. So you don't have to go out and buy a whole nother pack if you don't need to. You just buy the one adapter piece. Okay, so with that being said, it's just that easy. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, experience with this product, let us know down below. And as always, if you need help with anything for any reason ever, feel free to give us a call on the tech line. We'll be happy to help you out. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.